40 plus goals in 11 different seasons, 10 plus assists in 13 different seasons, 818 goals as of recording across 20 seasons, 234 assists as of recording across 20 seasons. So how do you not only decide which of these 20 seasons make the cut, but also the order in which they do? Well, despite the nature of my intro, I'll tell you a way which I'm not deciding this, by sheer statistics. This list will be based on a combination of individual performance level across a full season, collective success by the end of each given season, and big game displays, of which you best believe there are plenty. Let's roll on. Number 7, 06-07. Not only was this the breakthrough campaign of Cristiano Ronaldo's career, but also his best overall season from a pure midfield standpoint. Being the best dribbler in the world around this time, the Old Trafford Wideman chipped in with 28 goals and 16 assists for club and country on the way to winning his first Premier League. Memorable moments include an all-time great playmaking performance versus Bolton, an all-time great dribbling performance versus Benfica, opening his UCL account versus Roma where the players actually begged him to stop dribbling, scoring a crucial last-minute solo goal at Craven Cottage, among many others. And this may be a tad unpopular, but he really deserved the Ballon d'Or that year. Number 6, 16-17. Starting the campaign relatively slowly due to an injury he picked up at the Euros, Ronaldo began being rested a lot more in 16-17 as Zizou aimed to keep him fresh for the business end of the season. And despite Ronnie's early rabid, raucous and recalcitrant resistance to his newly revised role requiring relatively regular rotation, once he did get on board, the man turned in the greatest UCL knockout performance the competition has ever seen. Memorable moments: picking up his second league title in Spain, a throwback winger's performance versus Napoli at the Bernabeu, destroying Bayern Munich in the UCL quarters, #Pessi could never, and now that I've said that, I wish I was dead. Annihilating Atletico Madrid not only in the Champions League, but also in the final Madrid derby at the Vicente Calderón, and of course, bagging a brace in the UCL final. Big game player. Number 5, 14-15. So due to chronic knee problems, Ronaldo realized around the summer of 2014 that in order to prolong his career, he had to narrow his focus solely on end product. And in at 5 comes the very first season where he made that change. And boy did he change, putting up his highest tally in both goals and assists. To put things into perspective, if you think Haaland began 22-23 on fire, Ronaldo from September 2014 to January 2015 had 44 goal contributions in just 24 games. Levels, son. Number 4, 07-08. So following his breakthrough season at United, more on that before, Sir Alex Ferguson began giving Ronaldo a little more freedom on the pitch and built the team around his strengths. And yup, firing 42 times from midfield, Ronaldo put up one of the greatest individual seasons the Premier League had ever seen, culminating in his second title as well as the first of his 5 European Cups. Memorable moments: how long have you got? The near perfect performance against Villa, captaining United for the first time in another stellar all-round display against Bolton, that free kick versus Portsmouth, that header and nothing else in the Moscow rain, the penalty versus Wigan in the Manchester rain, the other that header against Roma, first career hat-trick versus Newcastle, the last-minute free kick against Sporting Lisbon, and so many more. The memories remain. Number 3, 11-12. In what was ironically the same year he was tested to the limit, 2011-12 saw the peak of Machine CR7. His game was pretty simple: receive ball, run, get ball in goal. And while this falls just short of being his most complete season, in terms of just being a pure footballing robot, 11-12 is clear. Memorable moments: pointing at his thigh versus Osasuna, why not? Almost dragging a very average Portugal side to European glory in what was possibly the greatest individual performance from a non-finalist the competition had ever seen, turning in what was most probably the greatest all-round performance in the history of the Madrid derby, and of course, calma, arguably the greatest Clasico moment of all time. Goosebumps. Number 2, 15-16. Doubt me once, shame on you. Doubt me twice, I'm going to win anything that moves. And pretty much every memorable moment from that season is basically him making the critics eat their words. I.e., being told he can't function under Benitez and then scoring 5 in a game for the second time in his career, as well as breaking his own, not Van Nistelrooy's, UCL group stage record, being booed by his own fans for a first half performance against Celta Vigo and then scoring 4 in the second, being questioned on European away goals and then turning Florenzi inside out, responding to comments about him slowing down after turning 31 as he hadn't scored against a top 6 team by not only finding the net twice versus Bilbao but also putting up a throwback display to go with it, only for the narrative to switch to he hasn't scored against a big team, whatever the fuck that means. Turns out it didn't matter either way, as he then went on to silence the Camp Nou once more and score a hat-trick against Wolfsburg inside a fortnight, being criticised for disappearing in the opening 2 games of Euro 2016, only to then turn in an all-round elite performance versus Hungary to drag Portugal to the knockout stages, not to mention then going on to do something else which no one thought was possible, winning that year's European Championships and doing so as the team's captain, best player, top scorer, top assister, assistant manager, one-legged cheerleader, I wanna say lesbian auntie? Basically he was there. And finally, the most egg-in-your-face one of all, being told he'll never win another Ballon d'Or again, only to then not just top the podium, but do so by a record landslide. What a man. And number 1, 13-14. You all ever heard people like Rio and Gary Lineker say that if you were to build a perfect footballer from scratch, you'd build Ronaldo? This is the version you'd build. And if you want a symbolic representation of just how complete he was that season, just look at his catalogue of goals. There's pretty much every type in abundance. And boy oh boy, you best believe that was not the only part of his game. With the arrival of Gareth Bale leading to the formation of BBC, Ronaldo was pushed out slightly wider than he'd been the previous couple of seasons, leading him to have to use his dribbling and link-up skills more often. And genuinely, every pass, every run, every flick, every movement just seemed right. And once again, had he not suffered that injury around March-April time, this Real team would not only have clinched the treble, but would have gone down as the most dominant European team of all time. Better than the three-peat side, you heard me. As for Ronaldo, he managed to later reinvent himself as the ultimate big game player and step by step cement his GOAT status. And despite the casuals mostly remembering him for his exploits in those big games while sporting those blonde curls, as the kids would say, the real ones would know that not only was 13-14 the peak of CR7, but quite possibly the highest peak ever reached by any footballer to have ever played the game. Living legend. And that is that. Agree or disagree beats indifference. Once again, don't forget to like, comment and share, and of course subscribe. Till next time, you keep rolling.